Hey guys, it's your girl Jalicia and I'm back with another video. Now some of my subbies had asked me to make a video showing how I turn this, which is the NYX pigment, into this, which is the pressed pigments. So I made a video showing how I pressed it. Now keep in mind I am not a professional and I just followed somebody else too, but I'm more than happy to show you guys how I do it. So if you want to see how I turn this into this, stay tuned. Alright, now I'm going to show you the list of what you need, starting with, of course, the pigment. This is the NYX pigment in, I believe, Rose Pearl. Then you're going to need a container to mix and keep your pressed shadows in. I use those from Walmart. I use a dropper because you're going to need that for the alcohol. It's easier than trying to pour it in there, so try to get you one of those. Also, you're going to need something to mix the shadow and the mixing medium with. I use a regular Bobby. Bobby. And you see I just opened that just to mix it with. Then you use alcohol. I use 70%. You can use 90%, 99%. Whatever you want. I also use glycerin. This is regular glycerin. You can use your vegetable glycerin if you want. So to begin, you just go ahead and take that dropper and fill it up with alcohol. It doesn't have to be any particular measurement because we're just using drops at a time and you'll see. So just put some in the dropper. And you want to go ahead and put some in the container, just a tiny bit, and wipe it around just to sterilize it. Then we're going to go ahead and start off with about 2 or 3 drops in the bottom of there. Now we're going to open our pigment. As you can see, NYX has that plastic thing, so it takes you have to drag it open. So you just go ahead and, you see it there, loose pigment. So you just pour a little bit in there, just on the bottom, just to go ahead and get the alcohol wet. You see it there starting to bubble. You get your pen and you mix that up. You definitely want to continue to add the alcohol as you mix, because you want it to be like a liquidy consistency, but not too wet and also not too thick. And you'll see how it looks. See how it looks there? That's when it's thick, and you just mix it up till you get a nice solution, and you just keep entering pigment, alcohol, a couple drops at a time, just to make sure that it's all completely mixed up together. Alcohol, mix. And it looks so much easier sped up, trust me. It was not this efficient. You just keep mixing. If it looks thick like that, then you know for sure you have too much pigment, so you just add a little bit more alcohol. If it's a little watery, you just add more pigment. We're just adding pigment and alcohol until you finished all the pigment in the container, and then you'll go ahead and add in your final step there. So bear with me while I just go ahead and finish that. I love the way it looks. I don't know. I'm weird. Make sure you scrape the ends also, because a lot of times when you're mixing, you're just mixing the middle and you want to get all the pigment and make sure the alcohol is touching all the pigment in there. So you see, you just use your dropper and just drop in the drops as you go to ensure that you're not overflowing the container. Now after you go ahead and get that pigment in there, if you see a little bubbles, you'll see that that's the air in the bottom. You just go ahead and tap that out, and I'll show you that later on. So again, we're just mixing. Now we're going to go ahead and add the last step. Now the glycerin is what binds it all together, so you want to add just 1 or 2 drops, no more than that. Now you go ahead and add the glycerin and you mix it up well, and you see this is what it looks like after you mix it. You see those little bubbles in there? You just tap it on the table and the bubbles will rise. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other purple pigment just so you can see. Pretty much the same process. You put a little alcohol and you just alcohol and pigment until you get to the end of your pigment, and then you add that glycerin. Now while you're watching this, I also want to let you know that it is important not to add too much glycerin, because what will happen is that you won't be able to use the shadow. It'll be so hardened that when you swatch it or try to put your brush in there, it won't come up. It'll just be like a rock. And also, if you don't use the glycerin and just use alcohol, it will dry and you'll be able to press it like you'll see at the end. But what's going to happen is that once you put your brush in it, it'll just disintegrate and turn to powder again because there's nothing there to keep it whole. So the glycerin is important, but putting more than 2 drops of glycerin, it will ruin your entire pressing situation that you have, and who wants to do that? Alright, so you see me there adding alcohol mixing like I told you about before. So you just go ahead and do that till you get to the end. Then you add 1 or 2 drops of glycerin, and then you mix that up really well. Tap it on the table to get the air pockets out, and that's it. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you the finished results here in a second once I finish with this. Now this right here is the finished result. This is after I let it dry for about 4 or 5 hours. It's important to note that. And once you mix it, you let them sit out in the open somewhere for 4 to 5 hours to completely dry. Now what you want to do is, in order to press it, you have to get something that fits down in there. Lucky for me, my Bath & Body Works top fits right in the middle. So what I did is just use a stocking and put it on top so I don't get makeup on my actual bottle. But if you're doing this right and your powders are completely dry, you should only get a little bit of product on your stocking. If it's completely saturated with shadow, then you did it wrong. So you just go ahead and use anything that you can cover to go ahead and press the powder. You put it in there and you put a little pressure for about 10-15 seconds, and there you go. This is the end result. This is the pressed powder. And also these are the other 2 that I had pressed before that I showed in the haul video. That's the teal right there. The first one was the walnut. And these 2 are the ones I pressed it. There's the rose and the other one's the purple. So again, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave that below. And again, thank you so much. Alright? Peace out.